What was school like for you? Was it good? Was it bad? Did you have lots of friends? Did you have no friends? Are the lessons you learned from school more important now that you left school? Or did you learn more about life after school and school was sort of a waste of time for you? What is it like going to school with a disability? Was I part of the special ed group? Was I not in the special ed group? Let's talk about all that today on the Purposely Broken World, part of the Advocacy Life podcast network. The following is a part of Uchi Productions. All comments expressed are strictly that of Kevin Nunez and his guest. Thank you for your time and enjoy the show. I am Kevin Nunez, the host of the flagship show. Do you know that 1 in 4 Americans are diagnosed with some form of disability? At least according to the CDC. Well, guess what? I am your new disability buddy. On this show, we will discuss how disability, faith, and society always interact with each other, even though no one wants to talk about that. This show is designed to give you more questions than answers. It's designed to help you have a conversation around your dinner table. If you're into that kind of thing, this is the show for you. Laugh, live, and love while you listen or watch this podcast. See you soon. Hello, friends. Welcome to the August 15th episode of the Purposely Broken World. I am your host once again, Mr. Kevin Nunez. I figured for this week, since it's kind of toward the end of August, that I talk about what it was like in school, what children need to know about students with disabilities in school, what I wish kids knew back when I was a kid in school with a disability, what to do when people are rude to you, what to do when people are ignorant towards you, all that kind of good stuff. So it's basically a quick little how-to guide, how to survive school with a disability. Disclaimer, some of the lessons you learn in life come after school and some you won't learn in school. It's just the way of the world. Not all lessons come from books. Before I begin the actual topic, I want to set aside some time and do a little housekeeping. If you want to support this podcast, you can now do it through both Cash App, PayPal, and the link, of course, directly to the podcast itself. All monetary support is extremely welcome. It takes a lot of energy and time to record these podcasts. It's a labor of love. This is not for me to make tons of money. Think of it like an artist on the street playing a guitar. And if they play good enough, you might drop a few dollars in the bucket. Back to the topic. Going to school as a person with a disability, that, my dear friends, is a much loaded topic. I'm not gonna lie to you, it wasn't easy. It still isn't easy. It wasn't fun. It won't always be fun for those future students. Note, I cannot speak for all students going to school. I can only reflect on my experiences. Every disability is different. Every learning style is different. So, that being said, here we go. Let's start with the basics. I went to mainstream school. I did not attend special ed until much later as a work-study thing. I'll get to the work-study volunteer thing in a little bit. So going into 7th grade, one of the big caveats for me to be independent, quote unquote, was I had to have a support person or a caregiver with me at all times. Every state calls them differently. Caregivers, support people, direct support professional, paraprofessional. You get the idea. Someone to assist you all day. I'm going to use the term caregiver here throughout just to make it easier on myself. It is a term that is most universally accepted. So I went to all regular classes with a caregiver. This caregiver was assigned to me every day of school from 1st grade to 12th grade. Altogether there were 6 of them. 5. They were with me for the school day, from first bell to last bell, 5 days a week. My other caveat was that I would have a laptop, not a nice little Chromebook like the kids have today. A big, gigantic laptop to do my school products on, my essays and all that good stuff. My school aide would, of course, take the notes on the board and do all that kind of good stuff as well as assist me in the bathroom with other personal tasks. That was my normal. Okay, it was me, Kevin, the kid in the wheelchair, and whoever my caregiver was at the time. All wonderful, loving people. They were my bodyguards. They were my gatekeepers. They were my tutors in a lot of cases. They were my psychiatrists in a lot of cases. In some cases, they were even more valuable than my parents, because when you go into those, early pre-teen / full-on teenager years, there's stuff you do that you don't really want your parents to know. Not that you're gonna do anything bad, not like I'm gonna, burn the school down or anything like that, but just little teenage things that you wouldn't want your parents to know. Socially, this made things a little awkward, just because there are some conversations that teenagers want to have that they don't really feel comfortable having, knowing there is another full-fledged adult a few feet away. It just is what it was. Some days I succeeded at the balance between, get lost and I need your help. There is a balance there that you have to learn. Those are the things that I want future children to know about. Because those are the things that are never brought up. You have to learn to trust your caregiver, especially early on if you have a physical disability. And they have to learn to trust you. Sort of like a doctor, you don't lie to your doctor, you don't lie to your caregiver, because if you lie to your doctor, you lie to your caregiver, then they can't assist you fully. So that's kind of tip number 1. Tip number 2, and this is something I wish to God I had learned or developed or discovered sooner, was you're only as disabled as you portray yourself to be. I was afraid of my disability. I was ashamed of my disability, even to the point where I'd schedule my bathroom breaks so no one would see me ever go to the bathroom. To use a movie reference here, if you remember the movie American Pie, there's a scene in the movie where one of the characters runs home every day to poop because he doesn't want to poop in school. Now, this is where things get very personal. Sorry if this is TMI, but this is a disability life. When I was a freshman in high school, I sat alone because I was in a pity party. Because in 8th grade, I had my first girlfriend, my first crush, my first kiss, my whole 9 months. As often happens, she had to move away. It was just the way life was. She moved. And that really was a blow to my self-confidence. Because when a girl likes you when you have a disability, it tends to be everything. Because anybody will tell you, I'm not what girls picture when they think of a guy. Yes, there's Barbie in a wheelchair. That's a tremendous stroke for advocacy. And yes, I'm sure millions of disabled women or girls have Barbie wheelchair. But nobody wants Ken in a wheelchair. Barbie's okay, but nobody wants Ken in a wheelchair. So when you have that first girlfriend and her friend group accepts you, it's essentially everything. And when she moved, our friend group, which was basically her friend group, dissolved. So going into 9th grade, because we broke up, quote unquote, this summer, between 8th and 9th, before she moved away, I decided, screw everything, I'm just going to live alone, F the world. I was the rebel without a cause. I purposely sat there. I sat next to the divider in the little corner of the lunchroom by myself. On purpose, just because I was mad at the world. Kids, young people, don't do that. Please. It really was damaging to my self-esteem and my subconscious until about, honestly, junior year. I basically gave up a whole year or almost a year and a half of high school experiences. Here's the funny part. Where I sat was parallel to the snack line. Where kids get snacks for like 50-cent cookies, 75-cent snack buns, all that good stuff. Now, those were the prices back in my day. I don't know what they are now, but you get the idea. The point is, I could have talked to all these people, but I chose not to. I just sat there alone in my own little bubble of pittiness and sorrowfulness. So going back to my main story about special ed and not special ed. Obviously, there was a special ed class in my high school. I was determined beyond all reckoning in my freshman year to not be associated with them at all. Why? Because I was Mr. Big Shot. I was Mr. Ego. I was Mr. Asshole. I was a direct asshole. I did not want to be associated with any kind of disability. This was wrong on my part. So, my caregiver at the time, going into 9th grade, realized about halfway through that Kevin, I've got to break you out of this bubble. She set me up with this thing called Make a Difference Day, which was this specific day where the special ed kids would team up and follow and shadow an upperclassman for the day. I did not want to do this. I was convinced to do this for social capital. Basically, what it came down to was I was told I was going to get to follow a cute girl around all day. And as a 14-year-old ninth grader, there was nothing more. There was no better way to get my attention than telling me I was going to follow a cute girl for 5 hours. Okay, fine. So I said, okay, I'll agree to this. What's one day gonna do? I'm sure I won't run into the special ed kids because they all have to follow a regular person as well. By the way, I don't mean to seem insensitive by using the terms special ed or regular. I know the terms are able-bodied and person with a disability. These are just the terms I grew up with, and I'm trying to keep it relevant to the time. So there I was gonna be told to follow this cute girl around all day. So here comes Make a Difference Day. I go to homeroom and meet my new friend with my caregiver. We start, chopping it up, telling stories, getting to know each other. Because I think she had like study hall or something before like a regular class or whatever. So we had like a good little half hour there before we had to actually, sit and be quiet for class. Whatever. Around 10:30, 11 o'clock, I start feeling a little rumbly in my tumbly. But I didn't think anything of it because, basically when you're like me, the first thing you kind of teach yourself or train yourself is that you don't go to the bathroom in school, especially number 2. So, you monitor your liquid intake. You only go once a day. All that kind of good stuff. I had my bathroom breaks planned out perfectly to make sure there was never any accidents, because there was never any chance I would ever have an accident in school. Because that would have been the ultimate embarrassing thing ever. So, and little by little, before I know it, there is an uncensored boxing match in my intestines. And the contents of my intestines slowly start making their way to the southern exit. Now, every person who's ever had a body of any kind knows this feeling. Now, when I go number 2, it's quite an involved process. I need total assistance, but I can assist. I can bear my own weight. One of the things they teach you in high school, in physical therapy in general, is how to assist as much as possible when having to poop. So it's not a big deal. One of the things I was always taught was, if you do as much as possible, an 80-pound person can help you poop. If you can do 90% of the physical labor yourself, she would just have to assist and guide you. So I run to the nurse's office with my caregiver because that's the biggest bathroom the school has. Now, this was uncomfortable, but I felt confident because I'm going to stop here. Like, share, support the podcast, all that good stuff. Remember, Cash App, PayPal, link to the bio, all that stuff. Please share, please comment as I left you Um, I'm running down to the school nurse because that's the biggest bathroom they had. And so we're going down there, and the nurse has this Hoyer lift thing. Now, Hoyer lifts are wonderful. They're good for safety. They're good for if a person is primarily heavy. Um, Going into ninth grade, I weighed approximately less than 100 pounds. No more than like 110. No less than like 95. So anywhere between 95 and 110 pounds. I know that sounds small, but when you have a disability, every pound matters. So it just kind of helped with transfers and stuff. So I was confident because I had just practiced this bathroom transfer drill in physical therapy. It's one of the things we did. So while this was going to be uncomfortable, I felt good about doing it. So we go to the nurse. The nurse says, "Oh, no, no, no. For safety, you have to use the Hoyer lift." Okay, now this Hoyer lift was purchased for someone else who graduated high school a few years prior to like me being at high school. So I get all set up in this Hoyer lift. There's one thing under each of my arms and one thing under each of my legs. The bottom, if you Google this, which I suggest you do because I don't have a picture of it, there's usually a net to make sure you don't fall at the bottom. However, of course, this net was removed because, you had to leave space for your bottom to hit the toilet. There was a strap in the back to make sure I don't fall at the back. So I was safe. I just had, a space for my butt on the toilet. The human body knows when your pants come off and it's okay to poop when you're in a bathroom emergency like I was. And, but this time I can't poop yet because I still have to get swung from after I am lifted up over my chair. I have to be swung over to the toilet. So I can't poop until I get swung over and placed down onto the toilet. So I literally played, "Oh, please, Jesus, don't let me poop Hershey's chocolate all over this nice green floor." Yeah, that's a real prayer. Thank God I made it. I pooped. Everything was okay. I actually felt bad for my caregiver because I couldn't wait for her to leave. I just kind of unloaded as soon as my butt hit the toilet. Realizing everybody poops and it's not a big thing. It's the thing to be embarrassed about. The worst part of the whole day was the nurse was convinced that I was sick. She sent me home. So I didn't get to finish Make a Difference Day. But what I learned from this was it's okay to be a special ed kid. After that, I made sure I always volunteered for special ed events. I did my work study in special ed. I did my first volunteer exercises with special ed. They had a job sampling program. They gave me my first volunteer job, which was I was a glorified intern slash pencil pusher for the local town mayor. I was a limbo kid because I was not disabled enough for the disabled world, but I was not normal enough for the normal world. So I and so many others live in what I call disability limbo. More tips for students. People won't see your disability unless you show them your disability. Show them yourself. Yes, your disability is a part of who you are. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be like me, who would essentially find any excuse to stay home on school dance nights because I didn't want to go and be the kid in the wheelchair who was stag. I did eventually go to school dances alone, but again, because I basically gave up on that freshman year, I was socially stunted. Because you develop friends all the way up through high school, and because I didn't really develop friends until essentially halfway through my 10th grade year, my next year, I was kind of socially behind. So put yourself out there. Have fun. Your caregivers are your friends. Your caregivers are your life. They will only help you. They won't hurt you. If they do hurt you, there are plenty of avenues to get help to resolve the situation. The world is not fun, but sometimes you have to be the light the world needs. That's not fair. That's not always fun. But I really and truly believe that every person who has a disability was given a disability for a reason. I look at it this way. If you're a general, and God is the ultimate general, would you save your best warriors for the battles you need to win, or waste them on the easy ones? Yes, there's a lot of internal endurance that needs to. There's a toughness you will have to learn to put on your skin. Yes, you will have somewhat of a suit of armor, apart from your wheelchair or your walker. But little by little, trust yourself. Trust others to put it down, because you don't want to be isolated. I am the poster child of a person who did everything wrong and still found God's love. That's, to me, is glorious. I have access to an entire community now with technology of people with disabilities who can share in the struggles, who know what it's like to go to school, who know what it's like to be misunderstood and grow together and help each other. So don't give up, because there's a whole world out there after high school. Stay strong, fight, stay safe, be blessed, be the blessing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This has been another episode of the Purposely Broken World, part of the Advocacy Life podcast network. The Purposely Broken World will air 2 episodes a month. If you like this episode, please consider supporting the podcast by clicking in the link in the description. Every little bit helps. Please follow our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All comments are welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed day, and see you very soon.